Hello there. Hope you're having a really awesome and great day. My name is Amanda Wargo, and I have a question for you. How many interactions do you think you have per day? My question includes interactions such as people in person, conversations, text messages, email conversations, maybe eye contact, waves, or perhaps it's even a lecture here at California University. Whatever it is, it involves other people. That's probably a lot to count. Honestly, I can't even begin to give you a guess. I'm going to say it's at least over 100, and that's just a rough estimate. Every day you are interacting with so many people. Now, what if I could tell you something that could vastly improve your interactions with these people? Something that can help you discover why your mom got mad at you, or why your boss is making the decisions he or she is making, or maybe why your significant other is just in a mood today. I'll make it simple. Seek first to understand, then be understood. I may not be the first to tell you this, but I would like to dive into the subject with deeper grasp. Meet Stephen Covey, the best-selling author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In the book, he discusses how we can use awareness to create the life we would like to live. He focuses on how we can use habits of bettering ourselves to enjoy life more and deepen our connection to the life we want to live, as well as our connections with other people and others. The habit we are going to focus on from this book is habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. It is called the habit of mutual understanding. We need honey. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where you can tell they were responding entirely from themselves and barely even heard you? Look at Pooh. He is, quote unquote, listening to Eeyore's problems and, trying to see how he's feeling, and diagnosing him with a problem that needs remedied with honey. Now think about that for a second. Does Eeyore really need honey? Or is Pooh just speaking from his own frame of reference and using something he would use? No disrespect to our dear friend Pooh, but this is a common response method. We usually can respond from our own personal experiences because we know ourselves best. Now think about it. In school, we were taught to read, write, and speak. But when were we ever taught about listening? In order to achieve this deeper connection and understand others first, we must undergo a paradigm shift of our typical listening and response method. Like we just said, we didn't always listen, but we can be taught to listen by changing our paradigm. Now, what exactly is a paradigm? Paradigm. It is our mental map. It's one of my favorite words. It means the way we see, understand, and interpret the world. It is our mental map, and as you can see here, it comes from inside ourselves and is projected outward. But it is a way of using it to our advantage so that we can see the world and connect it with ourselves and with others. Your mental paradigms, or beliefs, what you see, go back to here where you can see what he sees. What we see in our beliefs impacts what we do and the actions that happen. So what we see impacts what we do. Our beliefs impact our action, which ultimately impacts what we get, or our results. So if you change your beliefs, it changes what you do, which will give you different results, and that will ultimately come back to changing how you see things. The paradigm we're going to work on today is shifting how we see or view listening to others. But because when we first seek to understand, we open the door to deeper communication, much deeper communication. We want to listen to others if we truly want to hear them and feel what they are saying. Don't just simply listen to the words, but listen to what they're not saying. Listen to what's there. Listen to what we hear. This shift is a personal victory for yourself, and it's also a victory made between people. It improves your relationship with yourself and what you're hearing, but it also improves your relationships with all people. Your mother, your brother, your teachers, your coworkers, bosses, especially significant others. But not only will it be great to connect with others better, you'll connect with yourself in a much deeper way. So if you want to make small changes, work on your behavior. If you want to make quantum leap changes, work on your paradigm. A quote from our man, Stephen Covey. So, many of us listen with the intent to respond. We hit the respond button, we want to respond as quickly as possible, and we want everyone to know that we were pretty quick and we heard them, right? It was like that. But sometimes we must take a break and change what we're focusing on. In order to shift this paradigm of wanting or seeking to understand, we have to look at what we can control. Something Stephen Covey talks about is that we are in charge of ourselves. We are in charge of how we listen. We are in charge of that. We are in charge of how we see other people. So we want to talk about what things matter, which will be what people are talking about, and what we can control, which is how we listen. We need to focus on what's in the middle of there. So, ultimately, I can give you a few steps on how to listen. The first is listen with your heart, eyes, and ears. You will understand. But listening with your ears doesn't always give you the full message, because only 7% of communication is contained in the words we use. Only 7% of communication is contained within the words we use. The other 55% comes from body language, including your movements, your facial expressions, the way you move your arms. And 38% comes from the tone of voice, pauses, and feelings reflected in our voices. Only 7% is the word. Primarily, our body movements, our facial expressions. And to go back to this, something I personally have been working on is thinking about that. Think about the eye contact you're making with other people. Think about your tone of voice. We do focus on the words that we want to say a lot. We focus on the words others are saying a lot. But if you can just listen, take a break, and focus on something else, focus on what we're seeing, listen with our eyes, heart, and ears, we can really pause and take a second to hear what someone's saying. You'll go into a deep conversation with someone who understands you. On the surface, we all can act a certain way, but most everyone is tender on the inside and has a deep need to be understood. So take the time to try to make them feel understood. It might open up to you more. And so there are many ways to do that. Understanding means letting go of what you want to say. Don't be afraid to let go, because I promise you, you will remember what you want to say. Let go of your mind, and then be mindful. Close your ears, and listen. The second way you can listen is to genuinely listen. You may ask yourself what you do during that time that you are listening. You let go. You stand in their shoes. Try to see the world as they see it, and feel how they feel. Check out their perspective. This can be a lot of fun, because we happen to spend a lot of time as ourselves. I happen to spend all day as myself. It's really good to get out of the house and see what other people are doing, how their view looks for a while. Try it out. Have fun with it. Think about what other people's point of views are, what their perspectives is, what their motives are, why they're doing the things they're doing, why something makes them feel that way, what circumstances led them to feel a certain way. And the third way to practice listening is mirroring. What does a mirror do? It doesn't judge or give advice. It simply reflects. Mirroring is different than mimicking or repeating. Mimicking is using the same words they use. When you mirror or reflect, you take a moment through a warm and caring lens. You process or listen to what the person is saying, and then repeat the meaning using your own words. I'd just like to note that it isn't always bad to use the same words they used. It's just good practice to try to switch it up. It's something to consider as people are generally trying to do their best, trying to express themselves the best they can, and people want to be heard. Let them be. Give them a chance to be. Give them a chance to explain themselves. And just be. Here's a tip. Talk about the emotion that someone is expressing about the topic. For instance, you feel worried about the fact that last night your girlfriend was mad at you. And you feel scared that maybe she's a little upset and it's going to be something negative in your life. Or you're happy that that really cool thing just happened about that topic that you just said. And I can totally get why you'd say that, but don't say too much. Just keep back the emotion. Saying that emotion will make them feel understood. So here's that tip. Remember what the speaker just said and repeat it. It shows you're listening and helps them remember the path of speech they were taking. Maybe they forgot what they were saying because sometimes we get lost in what we're saying. But when you repeat back, hey, you were saying that you feel this way. They go, oh yeah. So she understood that I interpreted it that way and that I was saying this, and then they continue on with their story. You're helping them tell a story and you get let into their world. One last thing. Don't be afraid to be quiet and just listen. Silence isn't bad. Personally, I know from my experience as a future teacher that we are naturally afraid of silence. Afraid of waiting because we don't know what happens in those seconds between what we said and what the next thing we said is. I've thought about it. And do you know what happens in those seconds? It's processing, understanding, new thoughts, heart, emotion. When something is meant to be said, it will be. This wait time can provide the spark for a new idea, thought, or emotion to be expressed because it had a second to manifest and come into the light. Empathy is our healing agent. It releases, confirms, and brings the most frightened person into the human race. If a person is understood, he or she belongs. So to recap, empathetic listening or mirroring is saying what a person feels and then repeating it in your own words. Shift your paradigm in your mind from listening with the intent to reply to listening with the intent to understand. And finally, when you seek to understand yourself or to be understood yourself, keep the other person's perspective in mind. Look in the rearview mirror and say, hey, this is how they feel. Now I'm trying to be understood too. We're going to meet halfway and it's going to be a beautiful connection. As a result of all of these things, this deeper listening and trying to connect with others through hearing them first and then imparting where you're coming from, you will connect with others better. You will form deeper connections and you will create a place for others to feel safe, warm, comforted, and understood, as well as a place for you to do the same. This is a gentle reminder to practice patience at every given change. Don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can. Remember to acknowledge the journey thus far and to always give yourself the credit you deserve. That's a quote from Megan Roxanne. Seek first to understand, my friend, then be understood. It's the key to growing closer as humans. Thank you very much. Have a great day.